If you've ever been under stress, you've probably had that feeling, stop the world, I want to get off. But of course, we'll never be able to escape from all the sources of stress in our lives. What we can do, though, is change the way that we react to the things that make us stressed. Whatever our personalities, if we make the right choices and adopt the right strategies, we can deal with stress. But first, we need to be honest with ourselves.
The knowledge I have picked up about what makes me tick and the sort of person I am has helped me enormously. And I hope turn my stress not into something that I've got to deal with, but something I can use creatively and valuably.
I know I don't look a soft man or a gentle man or a generous man, but there are there's lots of facets about Mike Reed behind this face that people will be very, very surprised about. I like me on many very things, and of course there's things about me that I don't like.
I'm comfortable with who I am and what I am and what I'm doing. I wouldn't necessarily say that I like myself.
I have a great deal of self-loathing, low esteem. I cannot bear to see myself on television. If I've made a television program and the wife says, "Oh, we'll put that on the video," I say, "No, I'll go out of the room." Same with radio, so it's the voice as well as the face. I do not think very much of Derek Jameson.
I think how we see our own selves is critical to the whole kind of stress process. The poorer our self-image is, the less we have self-esteem, the less self-confident we are, the less we feel we're valued and can do anything and can contribute anything. I think it's going to adversely affect us, not only in our relationships, but in our ability to cope with the stresses and the things that hit us in life. So developing a positive self-image is critical in the final analysis to our ability to cope with life. And so anything we can do in life that puts us in situations that improves our own kind of self-image, our self-esteem, our self-confidence, will help us cope in life generally. The more we put ourselves in situations that take away from that, from our own self-image, the worse it's going to be.
Well, David, time for our little monthly chat, eh?
Yes.
Yes. How are things in the world of ice cream?
Super. I'm enjoying working on the new Nut World range immensely.
Oh, good. That is splendid news. And I hear you've joined the Sunshine Singers.
Yes. I'm becoming much more... Well, I suppose it's not for me to say. Maybe I'm not.
Much more what?
Self-confident.
Yeah.
I think I'm much more... What can I say? How can I put it?
Decisive?
Yes.
Yes.
We can change how we feel about ourselves. We need, first of all, to become aware of the fact that we do constantly denigrate ourselves. And we need to become aware of the fact that we learn to do this, that it's not part of the natural order of things. And when we've learned something, that means that we can unlearn it. We can change it. You know, we're free to change how we think about ourselves.
It's easy to blame other people when things go wrong in our lives, but often the real truth is that we're angry at ourselves and at our own inability to cope. To get the sort of self-confidence we need to regain control, sometimes it's necessary to actually stop and take stock. Given the hectic pace at which most of us live our lives, finding time to pause and take stock is a luxury we tend to deny ourselves. Often something drastic has to happen before we really think about what we're doing with our lives, or what we would like to be doing. In Mike Goldsmith's case, it was a heart attack that forced him to reassess.
I was afraid, obviously, that I'd been through that experience. And suddenly I became a fallible human being. I was going to die sometime. That was very clear to me, in a way that it hadn't been clear And there was this anger. Why had this event happened to me? Who had done this to me? And a lot of the time since my heart attack has been spent coming to terms with the anger. When the opportunity came, I took early retirement. I've had an ambition to write. I'd done some writing before the heart attack. And I'd actually got some writing done and it had been accepted. And some checks had come in, some of them quite nice, and that whetted my appetite. And having made a decision that I had to change my life, then I decided if the opportunity arose, then there would be more fundamental changes. I would in fact take control of my own life, so far as that is possible. Obviously there are limits to that. But I think we are more constrained by our fears than by our talents. Diane and I share a dream. We both want to go and live somewhere nice and warm. We've had our children, we've raised them, and we've got some years left, and we want to enjoy them. We want the chance to be ourselves, rather than to meet the expectations of other people. Why shouldn't our life meet our expectations instead of somebody else's?
When we're feeling pressured or under stress, time is probably the one thing we could all do with more of. But often we do have enough time, we just don't use it effectively. If we are to exercise more control over our lives, we need to plan our time more carefully.
It's important to remember that when we're talking about managing our time, we're actually talking about managing our life. And when it comes to managing our time, then we need to know what we want to do with our life. That means to have some kind of life plan. Now, once a year, somebody gives me a diary, and I put the dates into that. Now, that's a simple form of a life plan, but it only covers a year. We used to be able to have 5-year diaries in which we could plan 5 years ahead. So often today, with all the pressures and changes in the world, our horizons have been foreshortened, and therefore our lives and our time becomes constrained because we don't have that longer-term vision. It's important for people to have this longer-term vision. What do you want to do with the next 5 years of your life?
When stockbroker Stephen Brooke was made redundant from his city job, he suddenly found himself with plenty of time on his hands, and also an opportunity to replan his life.
Being made redundant gave me an opportunity to stand back and study what I wanted, because when you're working, you don't think about doing anything else. I had the option to go back into the city, but I felt that maybe doing something other than a 9-to-5 existence would appeal to me. I thought taking control of my own destiny, working for myself, was something that I was very eager to do, very interested in doing. And the opportunity through my partner came along to become involved in this business, and I grabbed it with both hands. Of course, I work hard doing this, and there'll be nights when I might be here till midnight, and nights maybe here till 2 o'clock in the morning, or whatever time it might be. But one can weigh that against the opportunity to have the flexibility to take the children to school in the morning, perhaps sometimes pick them up from school in the afternoon, see them during the week. I do see my children during the week. I can spend some time with them, and I think I have more of a family relationship than I probably did before. I think anybody in any given set of circumstances can change, can be master of their own destiny. It may be that they have to take a short-term choice that is unpalatable to them, but I think it's something that they will feel better about in the longer term.
So far in this programme, we've heard how taking stock of ourselves and exerting control can help us to deal with stress. But taking control needn't mean getting uptight or worked up. Taking control can mean learning how to relax and how to let go of our worries.
I get a lot of invitations from people to go and speak at conferences on Saturdays or turn out for charities on Sundays, and I'll move heaven and earth not to, because I do think I've got to have one little corner of the week that's mine. Saturday's domestic anyway. Rush around and shop and all the things, the domestic things that I'd love to have a whole week for. I probably wouldn't like if I did, but I think I'd like to have the whole week for, or get packed into Saturday. Sunday morning I have to do about 2 or 3 hours on my desk, but Sunday afternoon is like, it's an oasis. to stretch on the sofa with masses of newspapers. And we don't say very much, probably snooze a bit, but without that. And I wake up feeling, Monday morning's wonderful.
Holidays should be one occasion to really let go and unwind. But sometimes we can try to cram too much into our break as well as into our suitcases. To try and recover from a grueling final year at university and the suicide of a friend, David Burnside and another friend set off for an action-packed sightseeing tour of Turkey. The holiday turned out to be a catalogue of disasters, culminating in a coach crash which resulted in David's friend being flown back to Britain.
So I suddenly got 6 days in Istanbul on my own. And, you're stressed out after the exams, after the suicide, after the seeing your friend getting mauled around on these planes and he's screaming his head off. It just wasn't very relaxing. And, I couldn't sleep very well. I had back trouble and I was getting spasms in my back brought on, I guess, by the stress. And just the final thing was I got into bed one day. I was having to sort of crawl along the floor practically because I couldn't stand up because of my back. Open up and there's this 6-inch crustacean in my bed, some dung fly. And I jumped back and my back went and I was just lying on the bottom of this hotel room, couldn't move. It wasn't nice. Pretty stressed out.
You must choose a holiday which refreshes you. And that's the key for it. At the end of it, you might come back tired, but if you feel refreshed, then you've chosen the right holiday. You can go on some holidays and you come back and you're tired and weary. Wrong holiday. You may have enjoyed it, but wrong holiday for you. So choose one which brings you back feeling refreshed and re-energized.
All the muscles in your face.
On a regular basis, one of the best things we can do to help us relax is to take exercise. Caroline Brown has been a fitness trainer to a number of well-known people, including the Princess of Wales. At the moment, she's showing Radio 1 presenter Jackie Brambles a series of exercises which should help Jackie to cope better with stress.
Even though I'm an exercise teacher, I also run a business, and that can be very stressful at times. And I find that as soon as I walk into an exercise session, I completely switch off and forget about all my worries and business, etc., and just get a lot of enjoyment and satisfaction out of the exercise that I'm doing. For me, exercise is as important as cleaning your teeth. It's a maintenance program for your body, and it helps you to prevent the degeneration of your bones and muscles. So what we're saying is that it slows down the aging process, and it stimulates you mentally and physically. It helps your body to function much more efficiently. So therefore, people should try to incorporate exercise into their daily lives. Okay, bring the arms up above.
Although it's tiring in itself physically, I find it quite energy giving, and I feel very refreshed afterwards, and I sleep well and I wake up really alert. But the reason I don't exercise sometimes is because I'm so busy, and I come home at the end of the day and it's 9 o'clock at night and I've had a really long day and I'm too tired to go out and exercise. So then I wake up tired and sluggish, and what I should really do is go to the gym and revitalise myself with some exercise. But what I actually do is think, I'm so tired, I can't do it. So it's a vicious cycle, and if I don't exercise, I just get tireder and tireder and tireder.
Taking exercise as a natural part of our working day might be one way to ensure many more of us relax properly. Some companies already recognise the benefit exercise has for the physical well-being of their staff. But during a recent health check at this factory, the employees themselves indicated that mental health was also an issue the company should be pursuing.
Very quickly became obvious to us all that the things that people wanted to talk about were stress-related problems. Problems at home, problems related to family, to marital problems, to alcohol, to financial problems. Very quickly we began to realise that it wasn't just a simple question of looking at people's risk of having a coronary. There are a lot of other facets that we wanted to address. People wanted to talk about their problems. People wanted help. We opened this fitness centre a year ago now, and we have put in a mixture of equipment. We staffed it with fully trained physiotherapists, that everybody has to have an assessment first to make sure we're not damaging their health. And At this moment in time, 40% of our workforce, of 4,500 people, have actually signed up and are using the programme.
At the end of the day, when you go home from work and you've been working hard all day and you are tensed up, then I find that to get the tea over, get myself changed, come back up to the fitness centre and do my routine. When I finished, I certainly feel a lot less stressful and a lot fitter.
Since going to the fitness centre, I feel that I'm physically much fitter. And in turn, I feel that mentally, I feel more alert. And that in turn helps me cope with the stress of daily life.
Well, what I find is after finishing work here, I'll go and do a session in the gym. And when I'm finished that, I go and I actually feel a buzz, you know, I feel hyped up, ready to take on anything that's ready to come at me. And in that respect, when I get home, I feel an awful lot happier in myself. I've got more time to play with the kids. I've got more time for the wife, which she doesn't mind. I'll even get out and cut the garden, that's surprising for me.
On the physical side, what we're looking at is people's weights are coming down, people's percentage body fat is changing, people's blood pressure are coming down quite nicely. We actually now have put mental health on the agenda at all levels of this company, from the chairman down. And people are talking about it more. And we can have, in the fitness centre any one day, directors of the company and people off the shop floor, all exercising together and realising that, to a large extent, they're all under the same pressures. And morale has gone up tremendously.
Massage has long been recognised as a means of reducing the stress of a busy day. Fiona Harold's regular visits are looked forward to by the staff of a number of companies in central London who are now employing her services.
Physically, massage relaxes you. It squeezes the tension, the tightness, the toxins, and the stress hormones out of the body, literally out of the muscles. So the threat, the emergency might have gone, you have all those hormones still running around your body, still making you feel like you're under threat. So getting those out your body, getting them released, makes a huge difference. I think the trouble is that if people are chronically stressed, it means that they have forgotten how to relax. It would be of no benefit to simply tell someone that you really need to relax. I think you have to give their body and their mind a real physical experience of what it feels like to be relaxed.
Basically, during an ordinary working day, everybody at some point feels stretched. So usually by sort of mid-afternoon, you feel as though your shoulders are up round your ears. Somebody says something and you're going to snap back quickly. Normally you wouldn't do it. Somebody does this to you for 15 minutes and the smile comes back and it's, certainly I'll do that for you. It's just putting focus back in.
One simple way to relax is to imagine a favourite place, to go on a journey in the mind. I do this sometimes just for a minute or two. I think of a meadow, a tree, a day out somewhere, an image of peace. Even better is to really go for a walk. Nature can restore perspective. It's good to remember that there's life beyond our immediate problems.
If you could imagine the human brain like a house, then most of our adult world would be seriously out of perspective. We might have in our house a large kitchen because we do plenty of eating. For some of us, there'd be a huge broom cupboard because of all the cleaning and sweeping that has to be done. But one room there wouldn't be would be a playroom. There might be a box of toys somewhere, but no real play area in the brain. And that's one of the things that we do need to create in our lives. An opportunity to play, to relax, to let go of our worries, and in some respects, return to the spirit of childhood.
Even if we lose the last safeguard against becoming too serious, the ability to laugh at ourselves, all is not lost. It may seem unbelievable, but there are now clinics where people are encouraged to see the funny side of things, and where laughter is used as a therapy for stress.
You won't do anything this silly ever again in your life.
There is an old saying that laughter is the best medicine, and in recent years, medical research has caught up with common sense, I think. And now we're finding that when people are laughing, the research demonstrates quite clearly that laughter helps to relax muscle tension, it brings down nervous system pressure. We sometimes release endorphin chemicals through the body, which are the natural painkiller. But also when we're laughing, it helps to suppress cortisol and adrenaline, which are two major stress hormones. Essentially, whenever we're at a laughter clinic together, we're looking at happiness, we're looking at joy, we're looking at the role of play in life. Have we become over-serious? Have we become overworked? Are we just concentrating on being cost-effective instead of living for the moment and enjoying the moment?
I had an aunt I loved very, very dearly. I adored her. And she died young. She was only 45, and that was stressful, that was painful, it hurt. And her mother, my grandmother, had died only a year earlier. But she'd been my grandmother, after all, she was an older person. But at my aunt's funeral, someone said to me, I was devastated by my aunt's death. And someone said to me at the funeral, "Thank God your grandmother didn't live to see this day, it would have killed her." And it was wonderful, because it was funny. And I thought she would have liked that joke. My aunt would have loved it. And I felt better. So yes, being able to laugh at even the worst things, you can laugh, it does help enormously. Mm.
Stop! I'm warning you, if you don't start, I'll count to 3. 1, 2, 3, right! That's it! You've tried it on just once too often! Right! Well, don't say I haven't warned you! I've laid it on the line to you time and time again! Right! Well, this is it! I'm gonna give you a damn good thrashing!
Up to now, we've looked mainly at ourselves as individuals, how we cope under pressure and what we can do. But just as you need other people to share a joke with, you need other people to share your problems with. None of us are islands. We live in families, communities, and a whole network of relationships which can give us support and help. In the final programme in this series, we'll be looking at ourselves in this much wider context and finding out what we can do to improve the support around us. If you'd like more information on the subject of stress, the BBC book which accompanies this series is now available from bookshops. Written by Murray Watts and Professor Cary Cooper, it's called Relax, Dealing with Stress, and it costs £5.99.
And Health UK will be back on Thursday week at 11:30.